The tension between them didn't begin with a single moment. It wasn't something that could be traced back to one glance, one sentence, or one specific day. Instead, it seemed to grow quietly over time, layer by layer, until fans began to notice the subtle shift in the dynamic between Park Jimin and Jungkook. For those who have followed BTS closely, especially the bond often referred to as Jungkook or Kookman, even the smallest change could feel significant. But it started with something almost unnoticeable. A pause where there used to be immediate response. A glance that didn't quite land the same way it used to. During group content, their interactions were still present, but there was a difference in rhythm. Once known for their effortless chemistry, their playful teasing, and the way they naturally gravitated toward each other, now there were moments where that closeness felt measured. Fans noticed it during a casual live session. The atmosphere was light, the members relaxed, laughter filling the space as usual. Jimin made a comment, playful, almost inviting a reaction the way he often did with Jungkook. In the past, Jungkook would have responded instantly, matching Jimin's energy with ease. But this time, there was a brief hesitation. Just a second, long enough for those watching closely to feel it. Jungkook smiled, but instead of leaning into the moment, he shifted the conversation. It wasn't cold, it wasn't distant, but it wasn't the same. Jimin's reaction was subtle, almost invisible if you weren't paying attention. His smile lingered, but his eyes softened in a way that felt quieter than before. He didn't push the moment further. He let it go, and that's where the tension began to feel real. Not in what was said, but in what wasn't. For years, Jimin and Jungkook had built a connection that fans described as natural, fluid, and deeply intuitive. They didn't need to force interactions. They didn't need to create moments. Everything seemed to happen organically, whether it was shared laughter, small acts of care, or even the way they would unconsciously mirror each other during performances. So when that rhythm shifted, even slightly, it stood out. There were more moments. Not dramatic, not obvious, but consistent enough to form a pattern. During behind-the-scenes clips, they still stood close, still participated in conversations together, but there was a new kind of awareness in their movements. As if both of them were being careful of their words, their gestures, their reactions. Careful not to cross an invisible line that no one else could see. And yet, despite this, there were also moments that felt unchanged. Moments that reminded everyone why their bond had always been so compelling in the first place. A shared laugh that broke through the quiet. A brief touch that seemed instinctive rather than planned. A glance that lingered just long enough to suggest that whatever had shifted, the connection itself hadn't disappeared. If anything, it had become more complex. Jimin, known for his emotional openness and sensitivity, has always worn his heart close to the surface. His expressions, though often controlled, carry depth, layers of feeling that don't always need words to be understood. Jungkook, on the other hand, has grown into someone more reserved over time. While still warm and expressive, there's a noticeable introspection in the way he navigates interactions now, especially in public settings. That difference between openness and restraint can create a unique kind of tension, not negative, not harmful, just unresolved. There was one moment that fans couldn't stop revisiting. During a group interaction, Jimin leaned slightly toward Jungkook, as if about to say something. Jungkook turned his head. Their eyes met for a fraction of a second, and then, almost immediately, he looked away. It wasn't abrupt. It wasn't dismissive. But it was quick. Too quick. Jimin paused, just for a breath, before continuing the conversation with someone else. The shift was seamless, professional, controlled. But for those watching closely, it felt like a moment that carried more weight than it should have. Moments like that don't create answers. They create questions. What changed? Was it simply growth? The natural evolution of two people who have spent years under constant public attention? Or was it something more personal, something that only they understand, something that doesn't need to be explained to the outside world? Among fans, discussions grew, but so did a sense of reflection. Instead of jumping to conclusions, many began to recognize the complexity of what they were seeing. Relationships, whether friendships, partnerships, or something in between, don't remain static. They shift. They adapt. They go through phases that aren't always visible and not always meant to be understood by others. And perhaps that's what made the tension between Jimin and Jungkook so compelling. It felt real, not scripted, not exaggerated. Just two individuals navigating something quietly, in their own way, while the world watched from a distance. Because even within the tension, there was still care. It showed in the smallest details. The way Jungkook still adjusted his pace to match Jimin during performances. The way Jimin still glanced toward Jungkook during group moments, as if checking his presence without making it obvious. These weren't grand gestures, but they didn't need to be. Sometimes, the quietest actions carry the most meaning. There were also moments when the tension seemed to soften completely. A spontaneous burst of laughter that felt genuine and unguarded. A playful exchange that, for a brief second, brought back the familiar energy fans had always loved. In those moments, it became clear that whatever existed between them wasn't broken. It was simply changing, and change doesn't always look comfortable. Sometimes it looks like silence, like hesitation, like two people trying to understand each other in a new way without disrupting what they already had. As time passed, the narrative around them continued to evolve, not because of anything explicitly confirmed, but because of the emotions people projected onto those small, fleeting moments. The tension became a story in itself, a quiet storyline that unfolded in glances, in pauses, in the space between words. But beyond the interpretations, beyond the edits and the theories, there remains a truth that is easy to forget. They are human. They are allowed to grow, to change, to have moments of distance without it meaning something is lost, to redefine their connection in ways that don't need to be explained or labeled. The tension between them doesn't have to be an ending. It can be a transition, a moment of adjustment before something settles again. Perhaps differently, perhaps more quietly, but still meaningful in its own way. And maybe that's why it continues to capture so much attention, because in that tension, there is uncertainty, but also possibility. In that silence, there is distance, but also understanding waiting to take shape. And in the way they still move around each other, carefully, thoughtfully, almost instinctively, there's a reminder that some connections don't disappear. They just learn how to exist differently. As days passed, that quiet shift didn't fade. It settled into something more familiar, almost like a new rhythm forming between Park Jimin and Jungkook. Not as effortless as before, perhaps, but not distant either. It was something in between, something that required awareness, patience, and an unspoken understanding. There were still moments when their timing aligned perfectly, when a shared glance turned into a soft smile that felt genuine and unguarded. In those seconds, the tension didn't disappear, but it transformed, becoming less like a question and more like something quietly understood between them. And maybe that's the truth hidden beneath it all. Not every bond needs to return to what it once was. Some grow into something quieter, deeper, and more private. Something that doesn't rely on constant interaction to prove it exists. Within BTS, where everything is seen and interpreted, that kind of silent evolution might be the most real thing of all.